Tolkien has become a monster, devoured by his own popularity and absorbed into the absurdity of our time. The chasm between the beauty and seriousness of the work and what it has become has overwhelmed me. They eviscerated the book by making it an action movie for young people ages 15 to 25. The commercialization has reduced the aesthetic and the philosophical impact of the creation to nothing. There is only one solution for me: to turn my head away.
Look away, baby, look away. Damn, that was a crazy excerpt. I'm Danny J.
This is Joel N., and welcome back to Keep on Tolkien.
Yeah. And that was a little hateful for...
Yeah, that excerpt comes off pretty heavy. That was a quote of Christopher Tolkien, for those who are wondering. And we thought that would be appropriate.
Yeah, because we're going to get playfully hateful today. Yeah.
So today's subject, this is kind of hearkening back to the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, the origins, guys.
The origins, when we did what we didn't like and what we did like about the Hobbit trilogy. So today we're going to be talking about what we didn't like about the Lord of the Rings film trilogy.
And yeah, those are the ones from 01 to 03, if you're not familiar.
I know for some people it's inconceivable to even criticize these movies.
Yeah, but there's some young people out there, man, that were born in 2001 that are like adults now. And, you know, they've never seen it.
These movies are adults now, so let's treat them like adults.
But yeah, disclaimer time, guys.
Yeah, even though we just compared this to The Hobbit, we just have to say.
While we overwhelmingly agree that the Hobbit films are simply just bad films.
Bad movies, just
bad
all
movies,
around.
All around. We do not think the same of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We think they are high art at this point.
Oh, yeah. They're works of art. I know we've talked about that before. Like, we try to look at the book and the movies sort of as separate works of art.
Right, yeah, separate works of art. Because we're appreciators of both of those types of art, too.
I mean, we both grew up on the film, so obviously we love them. They're very close to our heart.
But yeah, it was a gateway drug into this larger literary universe that we're all, hugely a part of now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do love them. And here's the thing, guys. I want to say a little thing about what it means to truly love something, right? And that is to somewhat love and hate it at the same time. You have to, there's certain things like me and Joel, we're best friends. There's certain things that we don't like about each other.
Right. But
for sure.
Yeah, but you love your friends and you accept them for what they are, good and bad.
For the overall product, right? So there are definitely flaws within Joel. Like, for instance, Joel likes the band Muse, and I hate the band Muse.
There you go.
It's a terrible band.
I think I'm not a huge fan of their later stuff, but
I just thought I'd shit on Muse for a second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of angry Muse heads out there now.
Fuck me, right? Who cares? Who cares about the bands that Joel likes?
Well, anyway, Muse aside, I do like Joel, and I do love Joel, and I love the trilogy, in spite of the many things we're going to bitch about here in a second.
Right. So, despite the fact that we love them so much, we accept that there are some things that we didn't like or weren't great about the movies.
Right.
And we want to clarify that this isn't simply us pointing out the differences between the books and the movies that might come into play, but I mean, we understand that like the movies are meant to be like, Hollywood films. So, like they had to change certain things to make it, like a Hollywood, action movie. And there's some changes we liked and some things we didn't. So
some not so much.
Yeah, so we'll get into it. But we thought we'd break this down and go through them one by one. Me and Danny actually just finished watching the trilogy recently.
Yeah, over the course of the last week.
Yeah, it took us about a week.
Yeah.
I know some people try to do that shit in a day, and I've never been able to sit through that. That's like 12 hours or something.
I've done the first. So I've done the 2 extended editions for the first 2 movies, and then the theatrical for the third one. Because the only reason why I didn't do the extended was because it hadn't been released yet, son.
Oh, I've only been able to do the first 2 extended releases.
Yeah,
back to back. I haven't been able to do all 3. It's an undertaking.
And also, we kind of decided as a rule too, we can't bitch about things that were in the extended edition, but not the theatrical.
Yes, that is a rule we do want to clarify. We're going to be basically, I guess, reviewing the trilogy
from the view of the extended edition.
From the extended editions,
because the theatrical editions are lacking a lot of stuff that they cut out.
A lot of stuff. Yeah,
I mean, they still work as movies, but there was just they trimmed a lot of fat.
Yeah. A little more than fat. They trim some meat, too.
Yeah, they trim some meat, too. But that's like the kind of meat you make gravy out of, you know?
All right, but let's dive right into it, guys. Let's start off with the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I mean, the first, 40 minutes of the movie is almost torn right from the pages of the book.
Yeah, the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring is absolutely beautiful. I don't know that
I have no gripes.
I have no gripes. Yeah, just the introduction to the Shire and the long expected party.
Totally perfect. The only thing we start to get gripes here is when they leave the Shire and they get to a place that they don't go there. They skip the Old Forest is what we're talking about.
Yeah, the Old Forest and Tom Bombadil coincidentally after they get out of it. But
yeah, and on Tom Bombadil, a lot of people are like, well, how the hell would you put Tom Bombadil in the movie? And fair point. How would you? But
right.
They cut him out, and they also cut out the Old Forest, which also what's coming up next year. Our next point is actually much more important than cutting out the Old Forest in general, and that's the total cutting out of the barrel blades, which we talked about in last week's episode.
Right. Yeah. How they got the barrel blades, because that plays in heavily to how the barrel, specifically one of the barrel blades, is used later on in the Return of the King. There's that direct connection of Mary's barrel blade and the Witch King and whatnot, and so that just kind of eliminates that significance. It wouldn't have been much to just shoehorn that scene in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like
I don't feel like it would be hard. Yeah, they could have just stopped in this weird tomb and been like, found some swords. Also, we forgot we shafted from the last episode, guys. I wrote that episode, so I feel responsible.
Last episode being
swords.
The
daggers of Westerness. One of them kills a troll. Pippin kills a troll with it, so it can obviously withstand troll blood, like we talked about with other weapons.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that weapons episode. That was actually a really awesome episode. That was episode 46. That's our swords episode.
Yeah.
So another gripe we had with the Fellowship of the Ring was Glorfindel, or rather the lack thereof.
The lack thereof Glorfindel.
Like
the Glorfindel of the film.
I mean, he's a great character, and I guess we just like we mentioned earlier, we're not trying to point out all the differences between the movies and the books, but we did really want to see Glorfindel. I mean, he has a pretty big part to play in the crossing of the fords of Varannon.
Which is fine that they did. They had Arwen do that. That's fine because they wanted to have more of a female role in the movie. That's cool. I dig that. But they could have had him at the council. Yeah, they could have been like, "Who's that cat that glows over there?" That's
fucking Glorfindel, man. I heard he was reincarnated or some shit.
Yeah, dude. Then me and Joel actually we have a cooler idea of what they could have done with Glorfindel, which we'll get to later in the episode.
We'll get to that a little bit later. But so another scene that was in the books, but was taken out of the movie, something we really wanted to see.
Yeah.
Was the scene with the wolves at night. When the Fellowship has left Rivendell and they're on their way to Moria. Is it Moria?
They're still in. Are they still in? I think they're in Holland still. Yeah.
Okay.
And they get Old Oregion, right? And they get they get attacked by a bunch of wargs.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, and there's this whole scene where they have to fight off wargs. I think 2 separate times.
Yeah, and
it's in a ring, and there's a warg chieftain, and Gandalf is spewing flames.
Yeah,
and shit.
Shooting fire and shit. And it's the first time we ever get to see the Fellowship fight together.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. Which I thought was cool. I like that they did that in the chamber of Marzabul or whatever. Marzabul. Yeah, thank you for your Kuzdul. Yeah, I like that they did that as their first scene too. But I mean, I really would have liked to see in this scene.
This is just it's another. They're always looking for action scenes, right? They even make up action scenes. So why not throw in something that was actually in the books and cool? They use wargs later. This would have been a great reference to what's to come
in the second film, which is a great action sequence. Not gonna lie, but it also doesn't have Gandalf fighting the wolves in it, which is what I wanted to see.
Yeah. And that kind of, I guess we can say that leads us into our next point, too.
Oh, yes, it does.
Directly.
God, it's almost like we wrote this episode to be flow together or something.
Yeah, so sort of along the same lines as that scene there with the wolves when Gandalf is spewing fire and shit. We just wanted to, in general, touch on the lack of Gandalf's magic, especially in the Fellowship.
In the Fellowship of the Ring, yeah.
Because he does some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a creative choice or a lack of budgetary choice could have been, or they just didn't want to make Gandalf seem too OP. I don't know, but they didn't do his proper due for his magical abilities, in my opinion.
Right. So yeah, let's just cover, like we mentioned, there's the fight with the wolves where he throws a stick in the air that's on fire and it bursts into flames and like burns wolves.
Sets
And
a bunch
then
of wolves on fire.
in Moria, there's that crazy ass fucking magic battle to keep the door closed with the Balrog, and then the door fucking explodes.
It explodes, yeah, because the two magics are equal. And
they're super strong and they're super equal, so the door just explodes.
Yeah.
And the roof caves in, and Gandalf's like, holy shit.
Holy shit, man. Yeah. And yeah, Gandalf is a Maiar, and like we rarely get to see him use magic, except for light. I'm trying to think, did they try to do him with more magic in the Hobbit trilogy?
He did do a few things. Like in the Hobbit trilogy, I was surprised they included that scene with the wolves and the fire.
Yeah.
In the Hobbit trilogy, where all the dwarves and Bilbo and Gandalf are up the trees, right after they get out of Goblin Town, and they actually do throw like rainbow-colored, fiery cones down at the wolves and start a fire.
Damn, Gandalf really likes setting wolves on fire.
Well, he just really likes fire in general. He is a fire spirit.
He's a pyro.
He's a fire Maiar. So.
Fire. But yeah, Gandalf's magic sort of shortchanged.
Yeah, he does. He does a very good handful of very extravagant magic, like not the subtle things like you see in the movies. Like in the Fellowship of the Ring movie, you get to see a little magic when it comes to like Gandalf versus Saruman. And they have that weird like staff battle where they're like telekinetically like throwing each other back and forth.
Something that wasn't in the book, which I still love to this day.
That is,
I love that scene. Like just to see those two characters, those two actors, just beat the shit out of each other with magic is still great in my opinion.
Yeah. So another disclaimer. So this episode is what we disliked about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but it's absolutely going to be peppered with little
things that
we
really liked.
Because
like we said, we love them like our children.
Oh yeah. All
right, another thing. This one really. So like as we were writing this episode, I basically came up with a thesis of one of the main things I didn't like about the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah. So this will be a reoccurring theme.
A thing. So mine is, and I call it the shortchanging of the Dunedain.
In general, overall.
Just in general, throughout the entire story, throughout all three films.
Absolutely.
And they downplay the significance of the Dunedain, and they fuck with their history and stuff. And one of the things that we talk about is that they don't reforge Narsil at the Council of Elrond, or after the Council of Elrond.
Right. That's a major timeline difference. Like they wait until the Return of the King before they actually reforge it in the movies. No,
he brings it to him at the Dimholt Road.
Yeah, right. As if Aragorn was ever unsure about it. He was never unsure about it. He was right from the beginning. Like, give me that fucking sword. We're gonna do some badass shit with this.
Yeah. And the reluctance of Aragorn to accept his role, I didn't super like in the movie because he's since he was 21 years old, he's known what his mission is.
And he's been sort of like preparing himself.
And he's been, like preparing his whole life for it. Yeah. So I don't know why they did that creative. I mean, obviously it adds some drama and then it gives him like that archetype of like reluctant hero type deal. But I don't know. I kind of like proud Aragorn from the books a little more.
Yeah.
Proud, but also like humble, like Elendil. He's supposed to be like Elendil, you know?
Yeah, very strong, but yet, he is humble too.
And while we're talking about Rivendell. Yeah, we talk about this on the podcast a few times. What the fuck is up with Elrond in the movie?
Right, Hugo Weaving, like you're good shit.
You're good shit.
You know, but I just think Elrond was not supposed to have like an enormous stick up his ass the whole time.
Dude.
Like he's supposed to be jolly and you know.
And he's like angry and vindictive and like
he's a dick to everyone in these movies. Like he's a dick to Aragorn, he's a dick to like his daughter, like he's just angry. He's even a dick to Gandalf.
Yeah, dude. We were talking about when we were watching the movie because we were like, you know, I'd love to live in Rivendell based on the description of it from The Hobbit. How it's a place for anything. And then I was like thinking, I don't know if I want to hang out with that prick. Like, I don't know if I want.
Even so,
I
don't know if I want to hang out with that.
If
guy.
I had to see him like once or twice a day, like, you know,
sure.
Like, hey, what's up, Elrond? And he'd be like, boy, he'd be like, I was there 3,000 years ago.
Like, oh, okay, thanks, Hugo.
The day the strength of men failed. Yeah. Oh, all right, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he's very, very serious.
Very angry, and then some of the over, which we'll get into later too. The plots that surround the Elrond subplots are not.
Yeah,
not great.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more as we go on. And another thing toward the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, another thing that we had some issues with was Galadriel's gifts to the Fellowship.
Yeah,
because they switched it up.
And
I feel like there wasn't much reason for that.
No.
Like, Well, I should take that back. So
There is, yeah.
I think the reason that they switch it up is because they took out the fucking scouring of the Shire,
Yeah.
so there was no point in Sam getting a box
The
of
box
dirt
of
and a
dirt.
seed. But
Yeah.
like, A, they should have done the scouring. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And B, even if they didn't do the scouring, I wish they would have just left that
Left
the
that
gifts
in there
card. And Aragorn's gift is different too, because that's when she gives him the Elfstone, right?
Yeah, that's not in the movie at all.
That's not in the movie at all, and the significance of the Elfstone is not in the movie at all.
And
like,
they only say the word Elisar once in the films. And you know who says it? Sauron.
what?
Yeah. It's when he's staring at the Black Gate at the end. And he's staring at the eye, and he like hears him speak to him. He says, Elisar. Yeah, that's the only time we've ever heard the word, which is part of the shortchanging of the Dunedain, you guys. The fact that we don't even, the King Elisar, Telcontar and Vinyatar, the Renewer, you know, like we don't even talk about his fucking Elfstone that he's known by.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like his name is the fact that his name actually is it takes on the name Elisar.
Yeah.
It's a very significant.
Very significant.
For a number of reasons.
Yeah, and they give him that weird hunting knife instead.
That he ends up like batting away from himself when he's fighting Lurtz.
Yeah, the very same.
Lurtz, the Uruk-hai who was created for the movies. I do like Lurtz.
I'm fine with Lurtz. They had to have a commander.
Yeah, I liked the character of Lurtz. That whole the fact that he's kind of like a mini boss that we have to defeat at the end of the Fellowship, and he ends up taking down Boromir.
And the fact that it was one orc just peppering Boromir with arrows rather than a bunch of them makes it so much more fucking brutal, in my opinion. That it was just one single orc just like die.
Oh, Boromir. Oof.
Poor guy. All
Refer
right.
back to our Boromir episode.
we take a favorable view of Boromir here, which is apparently controversial according to the internet. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the first film. I think the first film is more or less closest to the books and probably the most iconic of the trilogy.
I would agree with that, yeah, because as we go on, I think we're going to end up getting some more and more gripes as things continue to develop in movie land.
In movie land.
So let's jump into the Two Towers.
And the first one we want to talk about here is this trilogy rolls along here is it's not a gripe with the films that we have, it's more about our society that we live in.
Yeah.
And that is, where are the acting nominations?
Yeah, this is one of our biggest problems with the overall, especially the Two Towers and Return of the King.
Yes, exactly. And like, you're not even going to give Sir Ian McKellen an acting
not
nom?
even a nomination. Like
And
nominations that we should have been getting. Like Andy Serkis, he still hasn't gotten his due as far as I'm concerned.
As far as I'm concerned either. And there's still not a motion capture category in the Academy Awards.
There should be.
This was the film that should have made them look and say like, oh shit, this is art.
Right.
Like, we need to have a category for
because
this.
he was absolutely voice acting and body acting and face acting.
Yeah.
They were capturing all those things.
And he's been doing it fucking ever since. If you ever see any great movies that have like great animal like combat scenes and
Planet
stuff,
of the Apes.
It's fucking Andy Serkis. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and we also really like Bernard Hill here.
We're huge Bernard Hill fans. Actually, I think that's probably one of the biggest travesties. Was Bernard Hill should have absolutely gotten a nomination for either The Two Towers or Return of the King.
Yeah, The Two Towers. I think so.
Because he was absolutely goddamn phenomenal. I can't imagine Theoden being anyone else.
Yeah, me neither, really. Yeah, he's remains my book and film. And some people don't like him on the internet. You should read about those people, Joel. Some people hate Bernard Hill.
Oh, well, what the fuck?
So let us know what you guys think. Hit us up. Does Bernard Hill suck, or is he great? You think he's great?
Yeah, what do you think of these acting nominations that never were?
That never were. And we were talking about Return of the King. It wins the record, it ties the record for most wins ever with 11, but it's also asterisk the only movie to win that number without having any acting category or any acting nominations.
So it tied first place with just the most number of Oscars.
So it won literally everything else it was nominated for except acting, because it wasn't nominated for acting.
Right, but there obviously should have been something given out for acting, because the acting in these movies is phenomenal.
Yeah, and they won 11. They should have been nominated for 13. Yeah, at least. All right, now that diatribe's over.
Yeah, so another fun little point we wanted to get into was the orc breeding, or I should say, kind of the lack thereof breeding.
Let's tread lightly here, Joel.
Okay.
So in the film,
trying to figure out how to phrase this.
It's a family show. In the film, orcs come out of slimy holes in the ground,
like mud holes,
and then they kill the first person that they see, which is like a human resources nightmare, right? Like, but yeah.
I suppose we should clarify the Uruk-hai
the
breeding.
Uruk-hai, yes. So Saruman is breeding Uruk-hai, and here's the thing: Uruk-hai are known to have man blood in them as well as elf blood, right? Which just gives them their tall stature and stuff. So I don't want to say the R word, but like there's a lot of non-consensual breeding,
reproducing and breeding going on here.
Yes. So what Saruman was doing was actually a lot worse than what you think he was doing in the movie.
Yeah, I definitely understand why they changed it to mud holes.
Yeah.
But
that confuses a lot of people.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it confuses a lot of people. Cause
I can understand why they'd leave out the R word stuff.
Yeah.
But
it was definitely implied. Yeah, because it says that orcs breed in the manner of the children of Iluvatar. And we all know how... children
Birds
of
and the
Iluvatar.
bees.
Yeah, birds and the bees, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know, ask your pops.
Or your mops?
Or your mops.
Question mark?
Non-traditional families. Yeah, we get it. They're out there. Get used to it.
So you mentioned men a second ago being part of the Uruk-hai. Another thing we wanted to talk about in relation to Saruman and men was where were all the evil men at the Battle of Hornburg?
Right.
Because there's even a scene in the Two Towers where it shows Saruman like arousing all the swarthy, the Dunworthy men to fight for him, and then we don't really ever see them in the Battle of the Hornburg. There's supposed to be a bunch of men there that end up also getting captured and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
It's just Uruk-hai.
I think the only reason I can think of that they did that was to maintain their PG-13 rating.
That makes sense.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why orcs have black blood. Because you imagine, think about it. Everybody close your eyes right now, and you think of all your favorite orc slaying scenes. And imagine red blood instead.
Ooh.
That's some horror film shit. And that would never
That's where
fly.
you get your R rating. The MPAA the MPAA has something specifically against red blood.
Yeah.
So.
Like when Aragorn hews the head off that one in Moria and it just spurts a huge black shoot.
Right, and then compare that to when Boromir gets 3 shafts in his chest.
Yeah.
And there's a whole extended scene with him bleeding out and dying from these wounds, but you look at the wounds and there's a touch of red around it, and that's about it. Yeah.
But obviously they wanted to maintain the PG-13 rating, which is understandable.
MPAA, you dogs.
Yeah, we don't like you. If you're listening, we're not fans of you. Go away.
So continuing on the subject of the Battle of the Hornburg, Éomer. Why isn't Éomer at the Battle of the Hornburg?
Yeah, because they gave Éomer Erkenbrand's part, which is shafted Erkenbrand, which is dumb. I didn't like that they did that. Éomer should have been in the Hornburg with Theoden and Aragorn, not riding in at the last second like Erkenbrand.
Right. That's ridiculous. Something I wanted to actually talk about right before the Battle of the Hornburg. There's a scene that is just infamous in my mind. That scene where there's the attack with the wargs, and they're coming on. There's that awful scene of Legolas standing on top of the hill, slow motion, shooting wargs. Then as the horse is right up behind him, he looks over his shoulder and he's like, "Oh, let me grab this horse," and he grabs, and it turns into some shitty CG. And he does this shitty swing up move and swings around. I hate that.
Joel hates all of the he hates Legolas worse than I do.
I hate all the little Legolas shticks, surfing down stairs on a fucking shield. I was.
They ripped that off from Army of Darkness.
Oh.
Yeah. Boom. Anyway, that was an ode. I mean, it wasn't a ripoff. It was an ode to one of Peter Jackson's favorite filmmakers, Sam Raimi.
But another thing about that same battle with the wargs that I think you'd agree with is the fake Aragorn death.
Oh yeah, that was just total weirdness.
That felt like such filler stuff. You didn't need filler, dude.
You didn't need it because the only really reason they separated him from the group was so he could see the army coming in and be 10,000 strong. You could have had somebody else tell you.
You could have anyone else. They knew that there was an army coming before Aragorn saw it. He was just there's a lot. They could have seen that there was a lot when they got there too, but I mean, whatever.
Whatever. They had to have Aragorn separated. And then that was the whole with the even star thing, which don't even get me on the even star, Joel. I don't like it. I know it's a lot of people think it's super romantic and stuff.
The necklace that Arwen gives him that has her Eldar charm in it or something. Something totally uncanon.
It makes no sense. But I don't like that shtick at all.
Oh yeah, they developed that even worse.
Yeah. Which we're gonna get into a little bit. But there's a lot of that in that scene too, with the jewel thing. Because really, in what we learned in the book, the sign of betrothal between the two is the ring of Barahir. Remember?
Yeah, he proposes with the ring of Barahir, which is a pretty awesome engagement ring, I gotta say.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking sweet. But actually, let's jump back into the Battle of the Hornburg now. There's another character who is present at the Battle of the Hornburg in the movie that who isn't supposed to be there, the Lady Eowyn.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to be at Helm's Deep. She's supposed to be taking care of Edoras.
She's supposed to be holding down the fort at Edoras, of which she does an amazing job.
Right, like if you weren't going to have Eowyn there for the sake of fighting to like make her look cool, like why wouldn't you have
her do the politicians thing out in
have her do the politician. She's supposed to have done a really good job doing that too.
Yeah.
So I feel like they just kind of shortchanged her.
They shortchanged her, had her cowering in the cave with the women and children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was lame.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of defeated their own purpose there with that because they wanted to have Eowyn in the movie more, but you could have just created some Edoras scenes.
Right, like they were going to have Arwen fighting at Helm's Deep. Like they even recorded some scenes with Arwen fucking there. Like why not use Eowyn? You made Eowyn there when she wasn't supposed to be. Why
not unleash her? Yeah,
unleash the power of Eowyn. And then, yes, one more Helm's Deep gripe that I really want to get at is the elves at Helm's Deep.
Yeah, we'd be remiss to not mention that.
We've mentioned this before.
Because the Battle of the Hornburg is the defining moment for men in the later part of the Third Age. Mm-hmm. It really reasserts Rohan's dominance over the region, and it also solidifies the alliance with Gondor, right?
Yeah. It's a huge development for, like, the people of Rohan. It's great.
And it's a defining moment for Aragorn as well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But yeah, the fact that elves were there, I get that they wanted to add some cool action because elves are fun to watch fight.
I felt like it was just kind of unnecessary, though.
It was very unnecessary. The elves didn't do much in the battle, and it took away the defining moment.
It didn't make much sense that they were willing to like fight along men last time for the Helm's Deep battle, but not for Pelennor Fields, not for the big one.
That doesn't make any sense. Or the Battle of Blackgate,
yeah. It was just an inconsistency they decided to throw into this battle that I just wasn't a fan of.
And then where it gets even more absurd, Joel, is that they bring Haldir, who's like the guy that runs the security guards out at a fucking Lothlorien, essentially.
Right.
And they bring him in, and then he says he's there on behalf of Elrond.
Yeah, like what the fuck is going on here?
Which makes no sense. And then he goes, and then they proceed to kill him off in the battle.
Yeah, they kill off a character who, one, doesn't die, and two, isn't even supposed to be there. Another time we've got a character there who isn't supposed to be there, when you could have just included like a character who is supposed to have been there.
Like who well, I mean, even like what we said earlier, we're going back to this character again.
Okay.
If Elrond was going to send anybody from Rivendell in a military exposition, who would he send?
Probably fucking Glorfindel.
The leader of the fucking Rivendell's armies, right?
He's the one who would lead against like Angband and shit. Like that's totally who would be coming.
Yeah, and so like they could have, if they wanted to have another elf character there, and like even if they would have introduced Glorfindel there and then killed him off, I would have been like, well,
yeah, that would have made more sense.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, but like
Haldir.
But poor Haldir.
Yeah,
they pulled him off his job watching the borders of Lothlorien to have him all the way come to Helm's Deep to die. It's a travesty.
It is a travesty. Okay, so yeah, there were a handful of things with the Helm's Deep and the Battle of the Hornburg, but we'll move on from that for now. So another part of the Two Towers that we wanted to touch on was another character, Faramir.
Yeah, Faramir. Faramir, we talked about this a little bit in his episode, in the character profile we did. Faramir's just all wrong in the second film. It's better in the third film.
Yeah, it gets better, but especially in the second film, it's just You mentioned a name for him.
Oh yeah, people on the internet call him Filmamir.
I thought that was super appropriate.
Yeah, because it's a completely different character.
Yeah, he's some like angry, distrustful asshole who beats up creatures that are way smaller than him, and it's weird.
Yeah, and then like they try to like. It's almost like they're two different characters because in the third movie, like they have that scene with him and Pippin where he talks about like the military uniform never fit me. I never liked that shit.
Yeah.
I liked art and playing around and having fun. And Boromir was the one that was like, let's go kill animals and people.
And here Faramir is the one kicking the shit out of Gollum. like interrogating him, and
I don't think Boromir would have kicked the shit out of Gollum. Like I don't know.
No, it was just weird. Their character of Faramir, specifically during the Two Towers, was just weird to us.
Yeah, just very I don't know if
he was not nearly as fair as Faramir is supposed to be, and like we're supposed to get that right off the bat with him. Like,
yeah, we're supposed to know that this isn't.
That's what's supposed to be so different about him.
Yeah, this isn't Boromir. You're supposed to know that like immediately. Like this is a different dude. The fact that he never gets pissed off, even though like they're taunting him, like in their conversation, basically like when he's like, it was good enough for. Remember the part in the episode where we said all the Rangers went, ew.
Oh yeah, it was like it was good enough for Boromir.
Good enough for Boromir. Ooh.
No, he keeps his cool. Cool as a cucumber.
Cool. Yeah. He resists the ring outright. Like, I don't want it. He doesn't like, I'm gonna capture you and then do something which is next on the list here. Take you for unexplicable reasons. Take you straight to Osgiliath, where there's a battle raging.
Right. Now that you know that that they have the one thing the enemy's desperately looking for and needs to win everything, let's take it right to a battle-prone area where the enemy is.
Who is commanding the forces at the Battle of Osgiliath?
Probably the Witch King?
The Witch King, yeah. Who's also, what's his second job? He moonlights as finding the fucking ring, right? Like, that's kind of his job.
Right.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, it's just all around, doesn't make sense. There's no reason for Faramir to do that.
No reason at all. Another thing we should get into, which we were going to talk about earlier, but we skipped it. Sam and Frodo, their drama in the Two Towers that is inserted by the film.
Yeah, so I understand, like, with the whole timeline splitting, like, you've got to find a way to, like, make their two-man journey, I guess, a little more eventful.
Yeah, eventful is a good word.
But eventually they start getting this weird, like, Sam, Frodo, Gollum drama. Like a weird, I don't want to say a love triangle. It's like a weird like a love friend triangle.
Yeah, it is kind of like a love triangle.
And it causes a bunch of stupid drama that just makes Frodo seem like a little bitch, basically. Like,
makes him seem like a easily deceived, kind of dumb, shitty friend.
Yeah,
too.
And I think that's ultimately our gripe, is that this whole like weird Sam, Frodo, Gollum drama just makes Frodo seem like a little whiny piece of shit.
Well, and then it undermines the rock solid friendship that was Sam and Frodo.
Right, that was supposed to be the whole reason, what was special about Sam going with him and everything.
Yeah, is that they're friends to the end. But yeah, and then there's also, while we're talking about inserted drama, let's talk about the Aragorn and Arwen drama.
Yeah, more drama that they just needed to kind of put in there. I understand they didn't have many female characters to pick from for this film franchise, so they had to sort of like take the ones that were there and make a little more of them. And they've already done that with Arwen. They, she was at the Fords of Boronin. They almost included her at Helm's Deep too. Mm-hmm. But like this whole like weird like, I don't know, trial of love between them. Yeah. Where like he's like, no, I can't be with you because I might have to do this. There was never any of that.
No, it was like, we're doing this. Like from the beginning.
Yeah,
like,
it was very much a very Beren and Luthien thing. Like, right? Like they're supposed to be almost an exact copy of Beren and Luthien. Like,
because like Beren, he was told that he had to do something almost impossible to achieve his daughter's hand, right?
Yeah.
Which is almost exactly what Elrond tells him.
Yeah, Elrond, like, again, not being a dick, because he's not a dick to Aragorn like he fucking is in the movies.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't marry my daughter. He's
She's
more just like,
for Valinor, dude. Leave her alone. Yeah, that's him in the movie.
Yeah, it's more just like if you're trying to do this, just she deserves the best.
Yeah, she deserves nothing less than the High King of the Dunedain.
Exactly, and that's what you really need to do, my stepson. Anyway, like.
Mm-hmm. That's really what you need to do first, is what he's saying. Like, and then we'll deal with this marriage stuff.
Yeah, it was all very friendly with Elrond.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as like vindictive as Thingol. Like, I'm sending you off to your death. He gave him a goal that was like somewhat attainable that he should have been doing anyway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in general, the drama between Arwen and Aragorn just kind of, I didn't need it.
And that creates more weird shit that we're going to talk about in the next section here too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But just the Arwen and Elrond stuff. I don't dig, man. That was when I always would go get a soda from the fridge. Like, right. I never really liked those scenes.
So let's touch on another character from the Two Towers, King Theoden. Overall, like, we really loved King Theoden's character,
right?
But I think it's more of a writing thing.
It's a writing thing. Yeah.
It's a writing thing. They had Theoden's character have some like hesitation about allying with Gondor, or like some disdain for them because they didn't like help them in the past or something like that. Like,
where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Yeah. Where was Gondor when our enemies closed in around us? No, Lord Aragorn. Yeah. No, that part is, while it is a cool speech, it goes against because especially if you go back and you read how the relationship between Gondor and Rohan started with the story of Cirion and Errol, the young, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's a ride or die situation. Like these two will come to each other's aid for anything. Like they gave them a whole country for helping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then they love it. The Rohirrim love their country too. They love the land.
Oh yeah, it's perfect for
And
the
it was,
horses.
Yeah, and it was gifted to them for doing something that they didn't know they were going to be paid back for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just did it to be nice. And they got repaid this beautiful land. And so, like, they have this relationship where, like, Theoden would know that as soon as he's done dealing with his shit, he's got to go help Gondor deal with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how things are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we just thought that was kind of unnecessary because then I feel like that also kind of downplays Theoden's character because he's supposed to be a little fairer than he is.
Yeah. He's more duty-driven. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Oh, another character that gets played down.
This one's actually more egregious than I think we give it credit for.
Yeah, it's true. We always laughed at it when we were kids watching the movies,
Yeah.
but as we get older...
But now we're just like, damn, that's kind of just degrading. What they, it's the character of Gimli.
Yeah.
And Gimli is, for background, is a nobleman, a noble person of the family of the Durance folk.
Yeah.
Right, of the Lonely Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like a royalty, essentially, of this like pretty high, fair group of dwarves already. And they kind of reduce him to like a moron, I would say, like a...
They use him as the butt of jokes often.
Yeah, he's
like
often,
he can't run.
He
he's
can't
fallen
run
over,
fast. And honestly, they make it
he
look
can't
like
kill as well as
Legolas. And they make it honestly look like that he's not even that good of a fighter. Like all his kills are real sloppy.
Right, yeah. They make him like funny, like derpy. No, he's a motherfucker. He has like throwing axes, light axes, and double-sided like heavy battle axes.
Yeah.
Like,
He kills that one orc by hitting it in the balls.
Yeah.
In the final Helm's Deep.
I forgot about that, yeah.
He just slides under its legs and then cuts its wiener in half with an axe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when we were kids, we ate that shit up.
Oh,
but like,
yeah. Hook, line, sinker.
I don't know. I feel like that does kind of do a little disrespect to the character of Gimli because he's a pretty awesome character.
Yeah. And that's the kind of shit we see underlying what really came to fruition in the Hobbit movies with that, I would say, racist depiction of dwarves.
Yeah, that was just like, that was like the same kind of thing, but on crack. It was way worse in the Hobbit movies. But we already talked about that. Oh, God.
Refer back to episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into the third film. That's
about all we had for the Two Towers. Let's jump into the third film because there's a lot of things that they kind of started in the earlier two films we didn't like that culminated into worse things in The Return of the King. Granted, The Return of the King is arguably, it's like tied for my favorite. We talked about this previously. My favorite film of the films is kind of a tie between the first and the third. I think I usually go with the first because it's the most iconic. But
yeah. See, I'm always the second one.
The third is just epic as all fuck.
Yeah, the third one is one of the greatest like filmmaking undertakings of all time too. Like it's huge in every way, shape, and form that it can be. Yeah, they make movies like that once in a lifetime. Like really, like, and we're privileged to have seen that movie in theaters when it came out.
It was, I remember as a child seeing that in theaters. It blew me away.
Yeah, I saw it 5 times in theaters, which ties my record for seeing things in theaters with Mad Max Fury Road.
My parents were only willing to bring us like 3 times.
Oh, only, yeah. Bring them to the 3.5-hour movie only 3 times.
Only 3 times. So The Return of the King. Let's start off early on in the film. Personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the conversation with Saruman at Orthanc.
No, this is a mock-up scene between 2 different parts of the book, really. There's the voice of Saruman, the chapter that a lot of the style comes from, and then there's the Scouring the Shire, which was cut out.
Yep.
So they kind of like shoehorned 2 scenes here together, which I don't think it's a bad scene. It's kind of a weird scene, to be honest. Like you said, he's like talking on the top of the
like I understand he's supposed to have like that voice thing, but then like Theoden is also talking back to him, and like Theoden and Grima are talking to each other softly, and like
it's not the voice of Saruman, it's the ears of Saruman. That motherfucker can hear.
Maybe it's like, I don't know, that you know how like the TARDIS, when the TARDIS is around, it has like the telepathy effect where to like translate language and things, and like people understand you understand them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Saruman does.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I didn't like how the whole conversation was like on the very top of Orthanc. Like I understand it's supposed to be dramatic, but like
Yeah.
they already showed him
From the balcony. Yeah,
from the balcony
yeah.
in the two towers. There was a scene
That's
where
high
he was on the balcony talking to Grimm. He's like, "We need we need an army of thousands," and Saruman's like, "With tens of thousands," and he's like, "But my lord, there is no such army." And they walk out onto the balcony.
Boom, yeah.
Oh, and then Grima starts to like cry.
Yeah, this is
that's a
single
cool.
tear.
I love that scene.
It's fucking awesome.
That's such a cool. But like, why couldn't they have used that same like
That
kind of
balcony,
shot and like that same balcony was really dramatic and cool.
Well, we figured out why. Remember? And it leads into this next point.
Next point. I also wasn't hugely pleased with the death of Saruman. That was our next point.
Yes, that was our next point. And like I said, just thinking of from a completely base perspective, I was like, well, it wouldn't be as cool for him to fall and be stabbed on that thing from that balcony. It had to be from the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Like,
after you said that, I was like, oh, I understand.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, falling off the top of the tower and then landing on a big spiky wheel is way more metal than like falling off a balcony.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so. Just in general, I wasn't pleased with the fact that they killed off Saruman. Only because that eliminates the whole scouring of the Shire.
Right, which is where he's supposed to get his comeuppance.
Right, but yeah, so that's really where my gripe with the death of Saruman comes from. Otherwise, that whole scene is, like we said, really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Really like how gnarly that death is, just falling and just shunk.
Mm-hmm. And we said we weren't really going to talk about this, but here's a moment on it. They totally cut that out of the theatrical. That wasn't in there at all.
Yeah,
and it totally leaves the open ending. What happens to Saruman?
They don't even really address Saruman in the theatrical. They just walk up to Orthanc and the Treebeard says that the filth of Saruman's washing away, and that's about it. And you're like, oh. Is he taking a bath? Like,
yeah.
What does that mean?
Is he washing his taint? What are you talking about?
Is he like doing time? Is he getting better? Did he see a psych or something? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, he's on Clonopin now.
He's dead.
Fine.
He's dead.
Oh no, he dead.
Again, Treebeard's like, no, he fell off Orthanc and landed on a spiky wheel just before you walked up. Shit.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, when that movie came out, that like when the third film was coming out, because that was on the cutting room floor, they cut it out of the film, that had leaked to the press, and I think New Zealand, but I'm not sure. Oh. And people were pissed off because they thought it was Gandalf, because there was like only 3 seconds of footage, so it was like white figure falls, and they were like, oh no.
I would have been losing my mind if I thought they were about to kill Gandalf.
Especially in that way.
Yeah, that would have been brutal.
And then just sinks into the water,
yeah. No, Gandalf does not deserve that kind of death.
No.
But yeah, so the death of Saruman scene, kind of double-edged sword. There were a handful of things we didn't like, but overall, it was gnarly.
Gnarly, cool.
Gnarly,
yeah. And then, just more Frodo and Sam drama, which really comes more to a head with the, Gollum pitting the two against each other.
Yeah, this is really where it gets bad. Like when Gollum does like the whole throw the bread over the side and like frame Sam. That whole, and the fact that Frodo falls for it is just outrageous.
It's outrageous.
That seemed all pretty silly and filler. And again, just wanted to touch on Theoden, because in The Return of the King, there's even more of a little bit of like drama and hesitation with Theoden when it comes to helping Gondor. He wasn't about to right away.
Right.
But he, as we know, he does ultimately follow through. But like, I don't know. Like we said, it's kind of a disservice to Theoden. Like he knew at the Hornburg that he was going to end up going to help Gondor after that. Like it was a nonstop thing, just like...
This is what we got to do. Yeah, we got to take care of our stuff, and then we got to go help our buddies. Mm-hmm. Is it in the third film, the beacons are lit scene, where everyone like...
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like everyone like kind of looks at him like, oh
pauses,
shit,
like,
what's
is he actually going to do it? And he's like...
Rohan will answer, which is cool. It's kind of a cool scene.
Master
Rohirrim. Yeah, that's one of my favorites, is Master Rohirrim.
That guy hitting the bell.
Yeah. We were talking about, as we watched that movie, there's a lot of weird jobs in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And like one of them would be banging the bell. The other one would be with the guy that works at the beacons.
Yeah, whoever has to fucking hang out at those goddamn beacons up in the mountains, like that's got to be a shitty job. That's got to be some kind of punishment.
Yeah.
And then imagine after, like, if you actually have to light it.
Yeah, the worst job would having to be schlep more wood up there.
Yeah.
To put the beacon back.
Yeah, because after you light it, you got to replace it. Who brings all that fucking wood up those mountains, man?
Yeah, some of them are above the clouds.
Yeah.
Is there even enough? First, is there enough oxygen up there to even burn? Like,
got to get the Eagles to help you out with that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and another point we wanted to get into, once again, like we mentioned, other stuff from the earlier movies that just kind of culminates even more so in these.
Yeah.
The whole Elrond Arwen Aragorn drama just really hits the fan in this one.
Mm-hmm. And there's like at this point in the third film, Arwen is going to Valinor.
Yeah, like her dad guilt tripped her into leaving Middle-earth.
Which is a dick thing to do, which Elrond would never do.
Never, ever do, yeah.
Yeah. And then he guilt trips her into leaving, even though he knows exactly what's going to happen.
Right, he's got foresight.
Yeah. So he's just being a dick and, like, doesn't want, I don't know if it's racism or what it is that he doesn't want his daughter to.
It almost seems like it's a little racism.
Yeah, that's what it came off to me as Middle Earth racism. You know? But yeah, dude, I don't know what these scenes are. So she's about to leave, and then she has like a vision.
Yeah, that's what really hit it for me.
Yeah.
The vision of like a child in the woods and stuff, like specifically just the vision, like,
and it had the fucking necklace on too.
A vision of a son, like,
yeah,
that's not the only kid that, like, they have 2 daughters. Where, like, if they're gonna have a vision of the kids, why not show like all 3 of the kids?
All 3 of them laughing, playing.
Fuck the daughters, I guess. Just she's gonna have run some random vision of just her son.
Yeah, you saw my son.
You saw there was life. You saw my son.
Yeah, not some of the greatest acting in the film either in that scene. But yeah, I don't like that stuff at all. Really.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's just stemming from Elrond being a dick.
Yeah, and like why I just don't understand, like, so she was like planning on marrying the king of Gondor, who haven't had a king because they had a childless king that got lost, right? With Aranur, they haven't had a king since. So she thinks she's going to marry this dude and then not have children?
Right. Like, obviously.
Like, that's the obvious conclusion.
Why was she so surprised to hear about kids?
Like, yeah, like, why was she so, like, oh, we had a son? Well, yeah, you're married. If this is Tolkien, like, that's what happens.
This
like,
is, didn't you know?
Didn't you read the books,
Didn't you know, Arwen? This is fucking Tolkien. That's what we do.
Like, you know, I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything. Like, it's her role to bear him a son or whatever, but, like, it's the logical conclusion,
but that's,
right?
Yeah, within that culture that is described, that's obviously what would have happened.
Would have happened, yeah. So, like, for her to be like, yeah, well, I wanted to get married to him and stuff, but then, well, since I saw that we were going to have a kid, it changes everything. Like,
yeah, no, you should have known that was absolutely a possibility, if not, if not a certainty.
It almost sort of makes it seem like they didn't know that were possible until then. You know, like, oh, elves can have kids with people?
We
like,
can do that?
Yeah.
You told me men didn't have penises.
Yeah, and then Elrond's just like, knowing full well that his dad was a dude. It's just like...
yeah, Elrond's half and half.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Moving off of
Moving forward.
Oh, there's a great line by Gimli that I guess bothered me when I heard it. There was the one where they're getting all the people together for Pelennor Fields, and he's like, "Horsemen, I wish I could summon an army of dwarves, fully armed and filthy."
Yeah, I love that line, fully armed and filthy.
And like, ever since he said that, I have, as a kid, I've fantasized about what an army of fucking dwarves would be like. I feel like they would be horribly badass, just super. I mean, they fought dragons and shit in the first age.
Oh yeah, totally.
And as soon as I heard that line, I was like, yeah, that's too fucking bad that does actually happen now. Like, they tried to make that happen in the prequel, and they just made it look like a bunch of fucking idiots running around riding pigs.
Army
and, like,
of fucking clowns that show up, yeah.
Like a bunch of fucking, like, Scottish jokers riding pigs that
what
just...
the fuck?
Yeah, it's just not impressive. It just made me sad. Because I was looking forward to that shit so much. Ever since that line, I wanted to see dwarves fight.
Fully armed and filthy.
Fully armed and filthy.
Yeah. They were fighting at the Battle of Dane, like, as they spoke, right? Because it was near the same time as the Battle of Minas Tirith.
Oh, yeah, the Battle of Dale?
Dale is a...
Yeah, the Battle of Dale happened at the same time as Pelennor Fields.
Yeah. So they were about to get fully armed and filthy up there.
Up there they were. Hell yeah. Up in Erebor. Yeah, that would have been fucking cool to see.
This one makes me laugh. Comes from one of the lines in the Arwen Elrond scenes.
Oh yeah, just as the last. I think this is the last point we want to touch on with the Arwen Elrond Aragorn drama.
There's a line where Elrond says to
Aragorn,
Arwen's fate is now tied to the fate of the ring.
What?
Why? And then what's just funny, like, I was telling, like, that's like saying Joel's fate is now tied to the fate of climate change. Well, like, yeah.
But I'm
like,
not,
no. You know,
why would I actively be, like, dying and getting sicker? I don't know.
Yeah, like, she's tied to the fate of the ring in the same way that the whole fucking world is going to end if the ring isn't destroyed.
Yeah, like,
you know?
Sure. But, like, all of a sudden she's, like, actively dying. And she's like, as Sauron's power grows, hers diminishes.
Like, what?
Why? When did this association come into effect? And how does that even work?
Like, Galadriel's not being affected by this, but Arwen is. Like, what? She's, like, dying. I wish I could have seen him one last time. What the fuck?
What? No.
What is this?
Hell no.
Oh, that's why that was in there, because that scene was. I was like, why did we put that there? That's because it's in the dim halt, which is what we're about to get to next.
That's because that happens right before the dim halt. Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's when Elrond finally gives him the sword.
Andoril, yeah.
And then he also spews that shitty Arwen line, and he's like, "You got to take the dim alt road."
Yeah. Put aside the ranger, become who you were born to be. Which is funny because the chieftain of the Dunedain is the king. Like, it's just a different guy. Like, it's just the same guy, just a different title. Because it'd be weird to call a king if he didn't have a kingdom, right?
Right, and that whole, like, put aside the ranger and be what you were born to be, that's what he said when he turned 21.
Exactly.
Like, he's been ready. He's been getting ready since then. That didn't happen now. That happened when he turned 21.
Yeah. And dim halt as well is when we get further shortchanging of the Dunedain.
Yeah, when they actually take the road.
Yeah, and there's no Dunedain Rangers that show up. They're supposed to roll deep with the Great Company, remember? Galadriel has a whole prophecy about the Great Company, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The Great Company rides from the north, son. Like, I don't know. And, like, it seemed like at every turn to make Aragorn seem like this, like, strange dude that just came from these, like, wilderness people that, like they're talking about in Bree, when the hobbits describe Bree, there's 3 different types of people that live there. There's hobbits. There's the middlemen, the kind of tall, regular-ass people. And then there's the tall, dark-haired rangers. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're a group of known people.
Yeah.
And, like... I don't know,
they totally shortchanged them. Like, this was supposed to be one of the big Dunedain moments where you get rangers from the north, and I think some from the south too, in the Grey Company.
I think they're all from the north.
Are they all from the north?
Yeah.
Okay. We also Elrodan and Elrohir were supposed to be there.
Right, who are also Guardians of the North Kingdom.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be like the ultimate group of badass dudes, and they cut it down to just the 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they roll in there with the banner of Elendil, and they're like, we're the Dunedain, come fight with us.
Yeah, they're supposed to go up to that like super smooth round stone or whatever and do all that. But instead,
what's that stone called? Stone of Eric.
Stone of Eric. There you
go. I was going to be, impressed with myself.
Very well done. But instead of the Stone of Eric, we get that scene like in a cave underground.
Right, which is
next to a hole with an avalanche of skulls.
Yeah, that part is weird, dude. Like I remember when I saw the extended edition, I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, this has nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Right, the skull wave or whatever.
Because they cut all that out of the theatrical, which in my opinion was good riddance. That was weird to have in the first place.
Yeah, it felt just kind of like filler. Like
we don't want to compare it to The Hobbit, but it's sort of like the dragon chase scene in The Hobbit.
Sort of like the dragon chase scene at the end of The Desolation of Smaug. Yeah, just some shitty filler.
But yeah, the dim halt is just another way to shaft the Dunedain, and just some other weird story choices.
Ultimately, I really love what they did with the Dead Army and everything. That
Dead
turned
Army
out great.
Cool, yeah. I mean, they brought them to Pelennor Fields, which they didn't do in the book, but like that's cool. Like, I'm fine with that. Because they would have had to explain, like, Aragorn going through this whole, like, recruiting process down south.
Right,
and, yeah.
They didn't include any of that. It was just the 3 of them, so.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into, let's get into Minas Tirith, some Minas Tirith stuff.
Yeah. And first and foremost, when you talk about Minas Tirith in the film is, where the fuck is Baragon?
Baragon was a great character, and his loss is definitely felt. Like, him and his awesome son.
And his kid, they're great characters. And, they just totally shafted him from the movie, man. I don't know what. Shafted, yeah. We had to bring up Baragon because he's one of our faves.
He is one of our favorites, hands down.
Another scene that we take pretty big umbrage with is the scene, which is a cool scene in the movie.
It is a cool scene. It's exciting.
Cool scene. It's an exciting-ass scene. When the Witch King and Gandalf come face to face.
Yeah, so Gandalf and Pippin are riding up to help Faramir, who is about to be burned alive, and then the Witch King flies up and stops him. It was like, this is a really cool. This scene was supposed to happen when the gates burst open.
Yeah. Do you not know death when you see it, old man? That's one of my favorite. I love all the Witch King lines.
This is my hour.
And then he uses the vacuum power that he has. It always sounds like the power of vacuums that he uses.
I always thought it was cool because, like, the flames on his sword that erupt when he does that aren't, like, flaming out. They're, like, flaming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, he's sucking stuff, like, into it. It's crazy. But
Yeah,
anyway, we talked about how cool the scene is.
it's fucking rock and roll, dude. Yeah.
So basically, the issue we took was the fact that Gandalf looks like he's about to get fucking bested there. Like, the Witch King blows up his staff?
Yeah. And I think the another reason I came up with that is because they had Gandalf dual wielding in that one scene.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to have him dual wield for the rest of the movie because it would have been very taxing for Ian probably as well. And it's hard to choreograph fight scenes with the two weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they just didn't want to have him dual wield at the Battle of the Black Gate, which is why they broke the staff.
Gotcha.
That's my theory. I don't know if that's true.
That makes sense. It was just like Gandalf is a Maiar. He would not succumb to the power of the Witch King.
An angry ghost.
Like in the book, they build that up so much. Like right as the front gate opens, and he's like, "All right." Gandalf's like he's standing there, he's standing his ground, and he's like, "This could be a battle, but like I'm ready for it."
Yeah.
And then the Witch King walks in, and he says his lines, but then he fucking leaves because that's when the Rohirrim get there.
Mm-hmm. You cannot enter here. I love when that it kind of reminds me of that scene in John Wick 2 where he's like going through that party after he just killed that one girl.
Oh yeah.
And he sees his friend, and he's like, "You working, John?" He's like, "Yeah." And they just kind of stare at each other for a second.
Oh yeah.
That reminds me of. It's just like are we about to throw down? Are we about to? And
they have that moment where like they know each other and they're kind of friends, but like obviously they're working at different ends right now.
Yeah, and they're like, "Are we gonna throw down?" And then some like other shit happens and they can't throw down. That's basically what that scene reminded me of, because like the Rohirrim show up and then we never get to see that battle.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know Gandalf would have won that battle.
Oh, yeah. Gandalf definitely would have won that battle. Also, just on the note of Pelennor Fields, we think it's pretty shitty that they killed all those fucking elephants to make the battle.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck? I mean, it was like 2002. Like,
man, there were a lot of elephants, man. There's so many.
Yeah, like, I think I read like 30 or 40 elephants were killed.
They didn't kill any
They didn't kill any elephants, guys. I know if you're out there right now, like, there's some animal activists. Holy shit, they killed 30 elephants making this movie? No.
Oh, God.
We thought that was a joke that we made while we were watching the movie, and we thought it was funny, so we put it in the
we were watching it, and we were a little fucked up. We're just like, man, it sucks they killed all these elephants to make this movie.
The shittiest thing about this part is all the elephants they killed.
Oh, on the subject of elephants or olifants, Legolas taking down an Oliphant.
I like this. I think that's cool, but Joel hates it.
I didn't like I said earlier, I don't like all these fucking Legolas, shticks that if they had like Legolas gets some cool shticks and
that's what
Gimli gets some cool shticks and Aragorn gets some cool shticks, but
we came to the compromise that like in that battle, if they were going to have him do something like that, just should have had like a little extended cool sequence for each of the three hunters.
Because it makes it look like Legolas is just like carrying the rest of the fellowship. Like that's totally not.
It's not the case.
He's more of a minor character.
He wouldn't even literally carry them when he wouldn't sink in the snow, and they did.
What a dick.
What a dick. So let's shift back to some Frodo and Sam action. How about that? So right now we're talking. Our next point is the Watchers. Mm-hmm. Totally shafted.
The Watchers at the Tower of
Cirith
Ungol.
Yeah, there's like a magical barrier there that Sam has. There's these two like hideous looking statues, and they're in the movie. You see them walk past them.
Yeah, and they look cool in the movie.
Yeah, they look cool.
But they keep in the movie they're there, but they just don't do anything. Yeah, so when Sam's by himself and he's entering the Tower of Cirith Ungol to go find Frodo after Frodo's been captured. This is after the spider and everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just walks
he hits
right
like
on by.
A physical barrier.
He's supposed to hit a physical fucking barrier, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he holds up the light of Arendelle and he says some shit in Elvish, right?
That's really cool, yeah.
And then it fucking boom dissipates, but only for a second because he hears it. He says he feels the magic closing around him when he steps through.
Yeah, after he walks through, and then it's almost like an alarm goes off, like a screech.
Yeah, and I think Sam says a funny line where he's like, "Now you've gone and rung the front doorbell" or something.
Yeah, that whole situation just always terrified me. Like, oh my god, there's some like screeching alarm going off now. Like Sam's fucked. Like, yeah, dude. It just makes the moment so more dramatic. But no, we didn't get any Watcher action.
No, yeah, and it kind of shafts the light of Arendelle too.
Yeah, shafted.
And this also leads into some more of this Cirith Ungol stuff. This Sam doesn't get his big moment, which we talked about in the Sam episode at length. Mm-hmm. He gets his big moment where he's actually wearing, like he has the ring by himself, and he looks over into Mordor, and he gets this huge temptation to take the ring and claim it for his own. And it says that he has this vision of himself like with a flaming sword, like going after Sauron himself, and like he uses his power to like turn Mordor into like a green lush
like gardens
and shit. shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, all you got to do is take that ring and say it's yours. And Sam's like, nope, that's not me. And that moment's not in the movie, which kind of sucks.
Right. They definitely don't give Sam his moment. That's supposed to happen actually right before he enters the Tower of Cirith to find Frodo. So they cut that moment out entirely, and that's supposed to be a really pivotal moment for his character.
For Sam, yeah.
Okay, so jumping back to the rest of the Fellowship, Gandalf, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and such. The Last Debate. So in the movie, The Last Debate is literally just those characters, plus I think Theoden and Éomer.
Yeah.
And they're just like standing.
Well, no, Theoden's dead.
Oh, that's right. Theoden's dead.
Theoden's dead. So I think it's Éomer, Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, and Gandalf. That's it, right?
That's it. Yeah, and they're just hanging out like in the old throne room.
Yeah.
Like up in Minas Tirith, but like it's supposed to be in a tent outside with with like a couple Rohirrim there.
Mm-hmm.
And Prince Imrahil's supposed to be there,
and the Sons of Elrond are there.
The Sons of Elrond, Elladan and Elrohir.
One of my favorite parts with the Sons of Elrond is like when they finally decide that they're going to go on the suicide mission. He's like, they say like, "This was our father's counsel, and we come to do this."
Yeah, they're like, "This is
period."
Like, this is what we came to do anyway. So I'm glad you guys finally decided on it.
Let's do this. I love Elladan and Elrohir. They just took it personal. That's
what
they did.
There are a couple very matter of fact motherfuckers.
They had some terrible shit in their life happen to them with their family. And then they just took it personal, and they've just been dealing.
They've just been taking out orcs ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a couple of badasses. Shafted. So let's touch on the Battle of the Black Gate, the mouth of Sauron.
Yeah, let's get into it. I do like this scene generally, and I'm sad that they cut it from the theatrical.
Yeah, it is a really odd. This is what like we said, we're not why we didn't decide to review the theatricals, because we would have been sitting here forever just talking about scenes they cut out
from the theatrical.
But since they actually did them the justice of making those scenes, it was a cool scene. I'm glad they included it.
And this is a scene that loses its effectiveness for one reason, it's one of the hugest reasons between the books and the movies, is the narrative style.
Yes.
And that is that there are split timelines in the book.
Yeah, so
we hear everything about Frodo and Sam after we hear everything about the Broken Fellowship. So the Battle of Minas Tirith, all that shit, Blackgate, that happens before we've heard anything. So the last we've heard from Frodo and Sam at that point, when we see the mouth of Sauron, is that Frodo's been captured.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then he shows up with the mithril coat, and he's like, yeah, we got your boy.
We got you.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, shit, this isn't good.
Yeah, and even the audience has no context that he's alive.
Exactly,
so at that point, even the audience is like, oh, shit. It holds a lot more weight.
Yeah, it held a lot more weight with the way the timelines were. And I think that was ultimately the reason they cut it from the movie. But is the character design's cool. I like Mouth of Sauron.
Yeah, the character in general was pretty cool.
But he does one thing that really pisses me off.
What's that?
He refers to Anduril as an elvish blade.
Oh, yeah.
He says it takes more than a broken elvish blade to make a king. That's the last thing he says before
he gets beheaded. Yeah,
Aragorn cuts his head off.
Except it's not a fucking elvish blade. It's a dwarvish blade.
Well,
I suppose it's kind of both now, because the elves reforged
But he didn't know that.
Right, no, he's a dick. No, he's a piece of shit. He doesn't know that. Yeah, it's totally Telkar's blade, bitches. Give him some credit.
Give him some fucking credit. But everything pretty much from that point on to almost the end of the film is pretty much perfect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they wrap things up very well, like ending off all these storylines. There's like 3 or 4 endings
that they had to end, yeah.
Yeah.
And but the biggest grievance we have with the Return of the King film, and you can go back and see our season 3 finale about this, the Scouring of the Shire.
No scouring.
No scouring of the Shire.
Completely changes the tone. We've said this a million times.
Million times. And it completely changes the tone. And it doesn't truly capture how dark the ending of The Lord of the Rings is.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lord of the Rings, it's a lot darker at the end because of that, and it really changes the message about like war too, and how it affects people and places and everything. Really,
yeah, because it almost says it's like, yeah, we can go back and see some horrible shit, but we'll always have the Shire. Like we'll always have Paris. No, that's not true.
Yeah,
like,
in reality, they go back and they find out after all this horrible shit, it's like, no, you don't have the Shire.
Yeah, you don't, and you never will again.
No, well, Frodo never will again.
Well,
I guess.
Yeah. Well, even to the same degree though, like they said that the Shire was never as cool as it was.
I suppose
before the Scouring, like as far as like lushness and all that. But
I wonder what the party tree looked like after
it was the big Malorn.
After it was the Malorn tree,
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be a fucking huge
golden tree. But yeah, the cutting and the scouring of the Shire obviously was for time reasons. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I mean the Return of the King extended edition is already like over 4 hours.
It's like 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy long.
So I mean, they would have had to just to do the scouring justice. I mean, I think you need at least 30 minutes to an hour.
I would have said,
that.
45 to an hour to do that whole thing justice.
Because
then that would have actually tied off the end of Saruman, and then they would probably have to touch on the storylines with the Sackville Baggins a little bit. And hopefully we'd get to see a little bit of Cotton family action too would be cool, but they could shorten a lot of that down, sure. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that I don't blame them for cutting it out for time, but in my opinion, it's one of the worst things they could have done.
I don't blame them, but it was just the worst fucking thing.
But it was just, to me, it changes the story. Because I remember when I read the book, because I had seen the film, first. Mm-hmm. So when I read the book, I sat down and I was like, just kind of dissatisfied at the end. I was like, well, they get home and like everything's all fucked up and like
Jesus.
And then like Frodo leaves because he's like sick and
can't get over how bad everything was.
Yeah, can't get over how fucked up everything was for the past year and a half. Like, yeah, dude, it's kind of
it was rough. I definitely appreciate the message. Like you can tell it was written by a war vet a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. I like it more. I'm not saying like it was a bit shocking to me.
Yeah, it does. It gives you genuine like valuable insight into the life of a war vet that most people don't understand. Yeah, and he ties this so seamlessly just in with this high fairy tale story. And then all of a sudden, not only that, now you're getting a taste of what it's like to be a fucking veteran of war and how it changes people's lives. Yeah. It was, no scouring. It really, it makes the story a lot more bittersweet.
Rather than just kind of dark. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's more, a bittersweet ending like, oh, the Shire was saved, but Frodo's got to go because he still isn't cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The scouring of the Shire, to me, is a big part of the tone setter for the
I think it does also a good job just kind of like wrapping up all the themes and all the things that the characters learned.
Yeah, and I mean they say straight up in the book it's the last battle of the War of the Ring too. Like they consider it a part of the War of the Ring.
Okay.
Yeah. But all right, guys, enough of us bitching about something that we profess to love, which we do.
We do, as you could probably tell.
Yeah, it was actually really hard for us to just not talk about things that we liked.
Yeah.
My girlfriend came over halfway through us watching The Return of the King, and me and Joel are just like, yeah, man, this shit's dope. And we're like, talking and cheering and like...
yeah, we're like, oh, man, I love this scene. I love this.
Yeah, and she's sitting there, she's like, aren't you guys supposed to be talking about why you hate the movie or something?
What you don't
like
what
you don't like? And we're like, yeah, we'll get to it.
Oh, we'll get to it. We just have to nerd out every time we watch it. There's so much awesome stuff.
Yeah, we're taking notes. She looks at the laptop. There's like 4 things.
Like this shit movie's awesome. But so enough from us complaining. What about you guys? Is there something you think we missed?
Yeah, do you think we missed anything? Do you think we were being assholes about anything?
What didn't you like about the movies, if anything?
If anything, I mean, they're great. I mean, how about this? Is there anybody out there that just hates the movies? Like, hit us up. Like, if you
that'd be cool.
I'd love to have a conversation with that person because I don't really know anybody that hates the movies. Yeah. So hit us up if you hate the movies. I'd love to talk to
Christopher.
Yeah, I'd love to have a
Christopher
conversation.
talk.
Yeah, Christopher Tolkien really hates the movies.
Yeah, refer to that opening excerpt. He really hates the Lord of the Rings
really
movies.
Hates them.
You think they just bastardized his father's work, basically.
My only choice has been to look away.
Oof. Oof.
But yeah, this has been Keep On Tolkien Podcast, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on social medias. You can follow us on Twitter at KOT Podcast.
And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I am at Danny J. That's JAYKOT. Hit me up. I'm not on Twitter all that much anymore, but I tend to be sometimes. Mm-hmm. So hit me up.
Yeah, and if Facebook's more your thing, be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/official Keep On Tolkien. And while you're there, don't forget to join the KOT Talk group that we have going on there. There's a lot of cool discussion questions going on, some, Lord of the Rings memes and such.
Yeah, we also got that, we're almost done, but if you hurry, we're doing that Silmarillion read-along.
Yeah, we're doing an active Silmarillion read-along. Maybe that'll be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, maybe we'll just start reading other stuff too. A lot of people, there's so many books to read.
A lot of Tolkien books to get through. But you can also follow us on Instagram at Keep On Tolkien Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, SoundCloud or iTunes. Feel free to go there, and it's usually that website / Keep on Tolkien. And, make sure to stay up to date with our new episodes.
Yeah, and please rate or give us a nice review on any of those sites, really. We like hearing good reviews. We also kind of like hearing bad reviews because they're kind of fun.
We almost equally like hearing bad reviews.
Yeah, which is funny because there's not that many of them, which is nice. We've only had a few.
Well, it's good to get constructive criticisms, and sometimes if you think that it's a bad criticism, you can just laugh.
Yeah, you just laugh because it's like, fuck you. What are you gonna like? Okay.
What are you gonna do?
I won't be listening to your podcast anymore. All right.
But please tell us.
Yeah. But please let us know.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, we obviously want to mention the Patreon. If you're interested in checking it out, Patreon is basically a way to help support us financially. You can check it out at patreon.com/KOT podcast.
Yeah, and basically, Patreon is just, it kind of helps us do what we do. And it's because KOT is a 100% DIY podcast. It is still coming out of our pockets. But donations really, really help mitigate those costs.
Mm-hmm. And they just help us bring a more consistent and better product to you guys, so that's a little easier to listen to us.
Mm-hmm. And it also donating also can help you unlock some cool content that is heard nowhere else. And this content is always pretty crazy. We're always a little bit for it, and it's not safe for work, so don't listen to it at work, guys.
Yeah, we like to have a lot of fun with the Patreon content. But that's about all we've got for you today, guys.
Yeah, this episode, what are we, 47? Wow.
47 in, man.
Wow, we're going to have a drink after this. Yeah, I am and will continue to be Danny J.
And I am Joel N. As always, guys,
keep on Tolkien. Aure and to Luva.